gon' rep you next morning, every news channel and front page. Headlines, another rapper was slayed. This is Star Wars.
Welcome to Spin That Back. This is Rick.
I'm Eric.
And this is our review of Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, written by Michael Arndt, J.J. Abrams, and Lawrence Kasdan, and directed by J.J. Abrams. One of the biggest movies of the year, like maybe...
one of it's the biggest movie of the fucking
maybe
year.
of all time at this point. So this will be a spoiler-free review. We don't want to give anything away. Really, I mean, why would you want this movie spoiled? So we will have a spoiler talk, so we'll link to that down below.
It didn't hit me. I was watching the new Star Wars movie until I saw that it said Episode 7 on the big screen. When that shit came up, I was like, fuck. It didn't hit me until that moment. When I saw the crawl come up, it said Star Wars.
Especially in IMAX. We saw it on IMAX.
In IMAX. And then when you see it says Episode 7, I was like, fuck. Like, I can't believe it. We're actually watching a brand new Star Wars movie. The new characters I think they were all great. Especially Daisy Ridley. I think she's a standout performance. But everyone was really good. Oscar Isaac was the shit as Poe. John Boyega was really good as Finn. He was funny. He kind of brought like a new element to the cast. Like we hadn't really had a character like him before. I really like the fact that they have a female as the lead role, as the lead character this time around. And I thought Daisy really did an excellent job as Rey.
Yeah, I think that came down to great casting. I think every actor like really fit their role really well. And really like bring in relative unknowns this time around. I mean, Oscar Isaac's been getting a lot of buzz lately, the last year or two. But really, John Boyega, I mean, really hadn't done anything. Check out Attack the Block if you guys haven't seen Attack the Block. It's a great movie that he was in. I think his debut movie might have been. And Daisy Ridley too. But it's kind of similar to what they did when Star Wars came out.
You don't really want or need even like well-known actors. I mean, obviously besides the old cast, which we do get to see most of the main cast this time around.
And then Adam Driver too as Kylo
Driver,
Ren.
which actually I was surprised with Kylo Ren. It was actually, I think, like a pretty, especially for it being like the first movie that he was in, he was pretty like fleshed out. I thought his character was a little more fleshed out in the first movie than even Darth Vader was in the first film. Like we don't really get to see Darth Vader fleshed out more until Empire Strikes Back.
And I think that goes to prove that, I mean, you can see like in the prequels, I mean, not to keep beating a dead horse, but I mean, Jake Lloyd as Anakin and then Hayden Christensen as the older Anakin. I mean, really like those movies rested on his shoulders. And I mean, he just like, I mean, both of those actors just did not come through.
Yeah.
And that shows you that like the movie just didn't work. So this time around, they put this pretty much on Daisy Ridley's shoulders, and if her character doesn't work in this movie, if her acting doesn't play out the way they were expecting it, I mean, this movie was just not going to work, and it shows you that great casting can make that work. I mean, and I know there's maybe a lot of you guys out there that prefer the prequels. I don't know why, but it just...
Full of shit if you prefer.
But they just didn't, to me, they just didn't feel like Star Wars movies. They were just really sterile, really just like they didn't have that charm that the original trilogy did. And they really captured that this time around. I mean, the cinematography was awesome. The lightsaber battles were fucking awesome. They're just like not overly choreographed, which I really liked. Like
that was the one problem with the prequels. I thought the Darth Maul fight, that one was that, even though it was, you can tell it was choreographed, but I thought that one felt a little better. But I think the ones in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith,
and then
like
the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight.
Yeah, like that shit was just it was ridiculous. Like you could tell it felt like a fucking dance almost. Like the shit did not feel like a real battle. Whereas in these ones, I think they kind of balanced it a little more, because the original trilogy, the lightsaber fights weren't that spectacular. I mean, there were some good ones, and it seems like they kind of went overboard with the prequels. But I think this one, they kind of struck like a better balance
at a couple points in the movie, and the fight feels natural. It feels like you can feel like their aggression, like they're not, like I said, it's not overly choreographed. It feels like a natural fight that would occur between these two characters, and I just think that really worked well. So yeah, I mean, props to J.J. Abrams. Really just put all their heart and soul into making this feel like a Star Wars movie, like that thing that we grew up loving. So yeah, I mean, it just worked all the way around. We don't want to nitpick it too much. So I mean,
some of the complaints that I think both of us had, I think it would suck if this was like a standalone film. But it's not. Like, this is gonna be a trilogy, which I think the big ones, like Captain Phasma, like she was really underutilized, I think. But I mean, obviously,
she's rumored to be supposed to be a bigger character
which
in the next movie.
Which I hope, because I just kind of don't want her to be like Boba Fett, where like Boba Fett was a badass, and then like look what happened to him, how he fucking got killed in Return
but I
of the
mean,
Jedi.
but people love Boba Fett.
Yeah, but people love Boba Fett, you know. But I
Yeah.
kind of hope that they don't, that they kind of flesh out her character more. The movie was like moving a little too fast in some spots. Like I feel, especially the beginning. Well, actually throughout the whole film, but I felt like the pacing. Like I said, it could be a good or a bad thing. Like, cause I don't know if I'm used to seeing like the original ones, but the prequels were fucking terrible. Those movies just felt very slow, and this was like the complete opposite. Like I felt like this shit was really fast. So I think it could be either a good or a bad thing. I mean, I thought it was the shit. I just felt like the pacing, they could have maybe slowed things down a bit. Like the one character that I wish they would have developed more and kind of gotten, you know, in depth with it a little more was Poe. I thought Poe Dameron was the shit. We hardly ever got to spend any time with him, but the scenes that he was in the movie were really good.
There are other characters that, you know, it feels like they're being set up for something, like a payoff. And like he mentioned, if this was a standalone movie, I'd have more of an issue with it. But, you know, we know we're getting episodes 8 and 9. So I'm kind of just like, I'm being patient with it and just hoping that payoff is going to come in the next movie. So hopefully with Rian Johnson taking over for the next one, I'm like keeping my fingers crossed that that's going to be the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy, which it might turn out to be, because there's going to be not as much setup and all these characters are already established, and you know we're maybe going to get more of their backstory. So yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. As far as rating goes, what are you giving it?
Going into it, I was more afraid that I was gonna, even if it wasn't good, I was gonna try to convince myself that it was. But like honestly, like I can say that it's the shit. Like it's been one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Like it was fast, had a lot of action, the characters were the shit. I give J.J. Abrams props for doing what he did, and then more than anything, just getting like another great Star Wars film. And I think that honestly, like this is up to the standard of the original trilogy, so I love that. I give it a
motherfucking tizzy.
The hype was crazy. I didn't know if it was gonna live up to it, and it's not a perfect movie, but I didn't need it to be perfect. I just needed that feeling of Star Wars being back, and I think it's back with this one. Yeah, props to JJ. He did a great job with this, and I'm just waiting to see what Rian Johnson's gonna do next up. It was what I wanted it to be and more, so I give it
motherfucking tizzy.
We're gonna get into our spoiler talk, so if you've seen the movie, click down below. If you haven't, go watch the movie. I mean, what are you waiting for? Everybody's gonna be watching it this weekend, and then come back and check our spoiler review. So click that thumbs up button, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.